Dawn of Ages. Now, that's a pretty bombastic title for a presentation that I have to live up to, but let's give it a try. See if this clicker works. Yes, it works. So in this talk, I will talk you a bit through about the journey that NetEnt is going through and the ages that we've been in. So we will spend a brief moment in the Stone Age. We'll be talking about the past, of course, and I will be bashing ourselves a bit, so that could be worthwhile listening to. I will be talking about current age and where we are now and what we have cooking. And of course, I will talk about the new age, which is the future. And here I will talk a lot about innovations. I will share with you some reflections I have on that. And of course, I will reveal what our industry can learn from the pet food industry, which, by the way, is breaking new records all the time. So I'm Henrik Fagerlund. I'm the MD of NetEnt Malta. It looks like I have hobbies, which I don't. I've been with NetEnt for quite some time and in the industry for quite some time. I like to make fun about my age. And I realized this morning this needs clarification. It's only the kids that are leaving the nest. I checked with my wife this morning and we're good. And the motto is just as old as me and as cliche as me, but I live by it 100% and I mean it 100%. So, you know, that's how it goes. So, Stone Age. This is the time for me to bash NetEnt a little bit. I'm going to be praising us ever so slightly. And I'm going to talk about our past. And I'm going to do that by talking about 3 different factors that have happened to NetEnt. But before that, I just have to share a quick anecdote. And I don't know if Pontus is here, but it involves him. There you are. So back in 1996, this is where it all began, and we nearly died before it began because, you see, we were burgled, and the thieves stole the computer system where all the code base was stored on. And thank God for magnetic tapes, because there were a magnetic tape that had fell between the chairs, so Pontus and the team was able to rescue it. So I think that's somewhat correct story, right? So if Pontus had not had these magnetic tapes, then NetEnt would have been NotEnt, and I would not have been here representing today. So a little reflection. So now, time for the 3 factors that have happened to NetEnt. And let's fast forward now to the years of, say, 2009-ish up until 2016-ish. This is when we enjoyed double-digit growth. We were completely dominating the casino lobbies, and we were one of the few premium game providers. But I think we became victims of our own success. And some even say, fat and happy. And some even say, arrogant. And I say, yes, I think it's true. We lost focus on the important, we became fluffy and corporate, and we did not take care of our technical debt. And we didn't innovate in a smart way, to be honest. And I will refer to 2 other factors in just a bit, but I also want to say that this happens to most companies that are in the same situation. So no blaming or shaming or anything, it's just natural, it happens. So factor 2, I will share a screenshot from Slot Catalog, which is one of the biggest scraping sites out there, and I think it says it all. And I call it the fierce competition factor. 14,000 games out there among 285 providers, and this was just a couple of weeks ago. There's probably 300 providers there now. Although I want to say that NetEnt is so much more than just a game provider, and I will prove that in this talk a bit later. Factor 3, I will start by showing the slide, which hopefully represents how many of us feel today. I call it the changing market landscape factor. And more precisely, I'm talking about the recent years' increasing challenges around regulators taking a tougher stance, including penalties, sanctions, and even revoked licenses. I'm talking about higher taxation, advertising restrictions, bans, bonus restriction, payment bans. And this all leads to margin and price pressure. But a side comment to this, I don't think this is not necessarily a bad thing in itself, but its changing landscape is really is nevertheless a challenge to navigate in. I would even say this could be good for innovation. There's even a saying, that a crisis is the mother of all invention. So let's talk about that more later. So what are we going to do about it? And I'm happy that you asked. Factor 2, the competition, and factor 3, the landscape, those are external factors that we cannot control, but we can navigate around it by shaping up and going from fat and happy to hungry and angry. And this is the one that we can fully control as a company. And this change journey, I would say, started for real, say, early 2018 or something. Okay, time for current age and more concretely what we're actually doing about it. And pardon this somewhat bullety slide. Design-wise, it's not the best I've done, but content-wise, it's super exciting to show the insane activity level in NetEnt right now. We're implementing a new vision, mission, strategy, core values. We're trimming and optimizing our organization. And this one I'm super excited about. We're hiring world-class iGaming talent. We were in a bit of a bad spiral before, but now we're in a very good place with lots of new people coming in, and they bring their best talent with them. So I will name drop in just a bit. And this bullet here, which is just in the bypassing, this is the core, this is the legacy of our company, our core RNG games offering. Just as an example, last year we delivered 21 games. This year we're going to be delivering over 35 games. This is led by Brian Upton from IGT. Sorry, IGT. He's doing a fantastic job. Massive overhaul of NetEnt Live. And a big call out to the market leader. I'm going to give some TLC as well to Evo. Evo is for us like Tiger Woods was for the golfing industry when he started. So it's companies like Evo that makes us shape up and practice harder and try harder. So hopefully we can grab place number 3 one day. Right now it's not exactly that. This is led by Andres Rengifo. And then we have we're expanding into new markets. Just like you guys, we need to find a new hunting ground. And we have in the UK, we have Andy Whitworth from GVC. He's the MD for NetEnt UK. So this is brand new. This is massive. We're moving into content aggregation through our NetEnt Connect. This is led by Rob Fell from GVC. And this is really about capitalizing on our online distribution, which we believe might be one of the world's biggest. Another example is moving into affiliate, which is capitalizing on our content and our brand. And we're moving into Facebook Casino. And we're doing the necessary, getting our fingers dirty. We're moving into the cloud. We're moving from a monolith into a microservices solution. And we're clearing our technical debt. Open to M&A, I guess that's an understatement. When I did this deck, it was before last week's news about Red Tiger, which we're super happy, humble, and honored that they choose to sell to us. So yeah, I think we're open to M&A. Sounds a bit cliche, but we work harder and smarter than ever. We do all of this with the same number of people, even less number of people, so the output has increased dramatically in the last couple of years. Is that enough? No, of course not. We need to do much more, and now time to talk about the future. And this slide is pretty, but I think it represents that we see some promising signs of a dawn of a new era. One thing we know for sure is that innovation is key in order for us to be part of the new era, and we have to do it smartly. So I will now share a few thoughts on and reflections on innovation, and I want to share a quote from Stephen Covey that says, I'm going to read, "Most of us spend too much time on what is urgent and not enough time on what is important." And as an old CPO in NetEnt, I can relate to this. I have one good example is if we don't do this compliance requirement, then we're going to be losing our license in market X. I think you all feel it, you all know it. Another quote from H. Fagerlund, and he's saying that innovating equals experimenting, and experimenting equals either a hit or a flop, and more often it flops, to be honest. So we have to be a bit delicate and a bit balanced when we do innovation. Time to look at innovation from a different perspective. We're going to look at it from spend. Let's start on a macro perspective. And what we can say here is that we see the top 21 nations, and the 5 biggest countries are spending some 3 to 4% of their GDP on R&D. And I also know that the G20 countries, they're spending 92% of the world's total spend on R&D. Sources here are OECD and UNESCO, by the way. Let's look at top 6 global companies spend on R&D. And Amazon was mentioned here, and they are the leader in terms of absolute volume of money spent. Mind-boggling, $22 billion in 2018 was spent. And I think a big call out to Intel, in terms of percentage of the revenues, they spent 20%. So pretty impressive numbers. And I think I'm saying the obvious. It pays off to spend, right? Now, what I'm getting at is how much does iGaming spend? Quiz time. And if anyone knows, tell me, because I don't. And it's been very, very, very hard to get any numbers. I did extensive research, and I almost gave up. Then I found Price Waterhouse Global 1000 study, and I found 2 companies in there. Both are spending some 7% of their revenues, which is not bad, actually. Do we have any people from IGT and Scientific Games here? IGT? Good on you. Anyone from Scientific Games? Good on you. You are on place, IGT on place 406, and Scientific Games on place 671. And I really mean it. This is good, guys. But I think there should be more iGaming companies here, so that's what I'm getting at. There should be more spent. And I don't know how you define your R&D either. Rhetoric question here, should iGaming spend more on R&D? Of course we should, and here's my own take on it, is that R&D spend in general is assumed to be very low just because we don't know, and we don't know how it's tracked. And here comes that NetEnt should and will smartly innovate more. We have been spending truckloads on innovation in the past, but perhaps not in the most ideal way. And we will go about it much smarter and more crisp in the future. And then, of course, I would like to have a discussion with you guys later on, how you feel about it, how you go about it, happy with your spend. Now, it sounds like I'm just critical to iGaming industry. I'm not. I think we can mention a couple of good things that have happened in the last couple of years. Megaways from Big Time Gaming, daily jackpots from Red Tiger. We have split screens, fast payments, and so on. And we saw this morning Leo Vegas was announcing a recommendation engine. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening, which is so good. And I think we will see much more given the difficult landscape and the difficult climate that we're in. So I'm very positive. Okay. Now, what about pet food? And I'm going to do good old, I'm going to take out a note. And I'm going to read to you. It says, we invest approximately $200 million per year on our Global Innovation Center. So I repeat, we invest approximately $200 million per year on our Global Innovation Center. And who am I referring to? So this is an official statement that came from Sarah, and I have to read. She is the Corporate Affairs Consumer Care Coordinator. That's a fine title. She's from Royal Canine, and this is one of the world's largest pet food manufacturers. So I think it suggests that it seems a very good idea to spend a lot if you want to be a market leader. time to slowly but surely wrap up. But what I would like to discuss with you guys in the industry is how you define R&D. Is it development or is it pure R&D? You run labs, environments. I would also like to discuss with you how much should we spend as an industry. And the last one I'm particularly keen on, how do you go about it? I would like to even open up for a collaboration with you guys, because just as Todd said in his awesome speech, I think it's together we win. And I'm not talking about sharing the ideas, the secret sauce in itself. I'm talking about the structure, how you go about it, because I have tons of do's and don'ts that I could share with you guys, and hopefully you would be up for doing the same. So this is an open hand, reach out for collaboration in innovation. And last slide coming up, and I just had to be inspired by William Shakespeare. To disrupt or to be disrupted. Thank you.